Next on our agenda, we have Maria Dunlap. She can't be here because she's sick. So we'll look at that later.
Should we just add to that, for those who don't have the agenda, what she was wanting was smoke detectors? And that's something maybe we can talk about later with the fire department.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Mr. Oldacre, on those, we used to give away those, y'all used to give away those smoke detector stuff, are y'all still doing that?
Some of the departments are. In Allen Creek, we're giving them away for coming through the Kanawha County Commission.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't checked ID on anybody yet to see what county they live in, but that's just from year to year, depending on if the funding is available. I know Guyan River had a project this year of smoke detectors. And
We have
okay.
Okay.
There is some spot stuff going on, and
The
I don't know what
was-
Maria wanted, so.
I think that's, you know, and when she comes to talk, we'll talk with her about this, but I think that's a good thing for you guys to be doing as far as handling the smoke detectors, because you already inform them they have to change their batteries such and such times and things like that, and you all been doing that for years, so I think anything that we would do along the line of providing smoke detectors would be best if we could provide you guys with and let you disperse them to those people. I mean, that's just my thoughts, because you all are the ones that have to respond to those things, and you know, and I think that if you have those available and people know they can come to the fire department, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's basically what Maria had in mind, was for partnership with the commission to help make sure those were available to the people that need them. She recently had a member of her family that died in a fire down in St. Albans, and she's familiar with that. Helped spark St. Albans City's drive for them, getting them, making sure every household in St. Albans had them, and I think she was wanting to see that expand out and be a similar, you know, more energetic campaign here in Lincoln County.
I spoke with Marie basically at a basketball game, buddy league game, and she was telling me about her mom passing away. And she basically told me she felt like that if her mom had a smoke detector in her house, that she'd still be alive. So she was, you know, whenever I put this on the agenda, I thought that she would be here to present it. She told me that she spoke with you, and I think what she's looking for is maybe to establish a program in our county to provide the smoke detectors for people, the low-income people, and try to give them to them for free, you know, just so that people have, you know, a warning, you know, so it doesn't happen to other people what happened to their mother.
And that's how the Kanawha County Commission is doing it in Kanawha County. They're buying the smoke detectors, and they issue them out a case at a time to the Kanawha County fire departments. When you give them out, you just basically give them a list of names of where they want it to come through the fire department to go out and at least offer to install them for them to make sure they're put in the right place.
I told her that I thought it would be better to have all of the fire departments in Lincoln County involved, so you have a division of labor, you know, where you can distribute them to, I think Guyan Valley, I think, you know, they're already doing it, but have them distributed and then take them.
Do you all have any up at Hardstown?
Not right now, no. We was actually talking about, I talked with Dorothy the other day about where she purchased hers at. And we're looking at getting the funds right now to go and buy about the same amount they did. Me and her talked Tuesday night about it.
It's a good time of year to get people, get them put up.
The thing is just, you know, especially with our current situation, the funding, you know, you guys know our levy right now, money's tight, but I mean, that's something we're definitely gonna look at doing. Things ain't cheap though, that's the only thing about it.
Right. Have you all, or has anyone approached a major supplier of them and see if
We have in the past, and Lowe's, Home Depot, they're not real forthcoming with doing anything with us. I don't know why. We've talked to the manager at Lowe's at Logan quite a few times, and we've talked to the manager at Home Depot in South Charleston over there once. And that's just kind of, they said they'd try to help us, and then you never really hear back from them on that. It's something you never really get very far with them on.
Phil, you all got any over at your place?
Do not.
Okay.
You ready? I'd like to move on to the next item. The next item, I placed this on the agenda. I went to the Lincoln Public Service District meeting last month, and I was made aware that there was a $262,000 shortfall. It had been previously discussed in the county commission meeting, I think it's been a couple of months ago, that there was a $262,000 check that was that came from the Army Corps of Engineers to the Lincoln PSC, and that check was to pay E.L. Robinson, I believe that's the engineering firm, and this was work for the Lower Mud River project. Whenever I was at the meeting, there was some people there from the USDA, and we have the Alcoa Woodville project ready to, they're ready to start digging. And there's a problem with, basically not having these particular funds on hand. And the people from the USDA, of course, they're funding part of the Alcoa Woodville project. The Army Corps of Engineers is funding the Lower Mud River project. So, and there are two different projects, just so everyone knows and everyone understands. I think that's important. But the Alcoa Woodville project's around $7 million. The Lower Mud River project is $5 million. And I was informed at the meeting that if this money was not accounted for, then we could possibly lose funding for both projects.
I don't think it was possibly, it was, you are going to lose funding.
Yeah, but, and I have some emails here that I was going back and forth with the USDA, people from USDA. But, this is something that I feel like that we need to do, we have to do, and, in order to secure these projects.
Well, I think that if we jeopardize these, we could probably never get the funding again for them.
Yeah, these things inherently, if you, it takes years to set up funding scenarios and implement them, and once you get to a particular point, if you wind up having something like this happen, it really, really jeopardizes things. I mean, we had historically, we had a shortfall on the Route 37 project, and we were going to maybe take money off the 10 Mile project to put on it. 10 Mile project was ARC funds, and they wouldn't allow you to transfer it over. But we wound up, we didn't have to in the end. But I mean, that was one of the things that you get into if you start, once you get to a particular point, you're talking about going back 3 to 4 years before you can get this set up again. So, this is not a good thing, what's happened. But and it's going to be tough on us as a commission to come up with this money to do this. And I think, and I think they have to get approval from the PSC to accept the monies and things like that. So I think we ought to make sure when we do this, that we make sure that Prosecutor Gayhart is monitoring the transaction as far as to its being a viable transaction, and make sure that we're doing everything legally that we can do.
The prosecuting attorney, correct?
Yeah, I spoke with Chris Howard from the Public Service Commission and the prosecutor.
So they have, agreed that we can do this?
Yes, I mean, we can contribute to this project, and we just, we need to make sure that this money is earmarked for that project, and this will save both projects from going under. I mean, the Lincoln Public Service District, whenever it was, from what I understand from the meeting, was almost underwater, completely underwater. No pun intended. But what I'm saying is I think with the removal of those two, or resignation of those two particular individuals that were on the board, I think that, and it was just in the nick of time. I don't know if they can survive another month.
Now, does this, does this go into the PSD's coffers and we say, we're gonna give you this $262,000, it is to be used for the Lower Mud River, to replace the monies that were paid from the ARC to PSD, and that we expect that money to be used on that project, is that correct? I mean,
Yeah, that's.
we're just basically making sure that these projects can go forward. But I don't want to, you know, and I'm not saying those people over there do the wrong thing. I don't want, because I think they'll do the right thing. But I want to make sure that if we give them another $260,000, it goes for what it's supposed to go for.
I was told that if we could do this, as soon as they got the money, that same day, they would take it, the check. Just
To
a matter of
Robinson.
take it themselves.
Because that was
to
for the architecture and design of this Lower
Of the
Mud River
Lower Mud,
project, I
yes.
think. And that, I would want to make sure that they understood that, in the form of the motion that we would make sure that that money was designated for, to replace those funds.
Right.
And then I'll make more comment later on in my concerns.
This is just so, I mean, from what this is so crucial because, I mean, they're not going to move forward with either one of those projects until this is straightened up. I mean, it's just, and I know you all didn't budget for this, who could see this? I mean, this is detrimental to what we're gonna be able to do for the rest of the year, I think. I mean, this is a lot of money.
Yeah,
And-
it very much,
I mean, it's
is a
gonna.
surprise, isn't it? I mean, you know,
Well, it's
and I
not-
think, but then again, you know, like I said, I'm gonna make further comments about making sure this doesn't happen again later on, but, if you want a motion, I'll go ahead and motion that we do this.
Could I ask a question first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Could the Commission go on the record in some way explaining technically where that check might have gone?
I can tell you.
Okay.
All right, I didn't really want to get into it.
Well,
But-
I'm not forcing you to, but I'm just
I
saying.
understand, but apparently, and you know, this money came in, was wired in from the Army Corps of Engineers, and apparently the money was placed in, apparently the money was used for operating capital.
It was
Okay.
supposed to have went into a certain account earmarked just for that.
For the
But
Lower
if,
River project.
when we don't know how, why, for sure to say, but it was put into the general fund and spent.
Well, historically, and I don't know, the 1.5 million we got for the 10-mile project from ARC, I don't know that it went directly to the PSD. I don't know why.
That was a question I was gonna ask.
Well, and I think that's one of the things we need to delve into in a little
I
while,
was-
just saying that needs to be looked into.
You
because
know
we-
why they did that instead of letting it come through us? I mean, is that normal that it could?
No, that's my question, it's my understanding that the last monies, did they come, they didn't give you all the monies over there, did they? It went to us and then we did, yeah, and that's, to me, that's the way we've always done it. They give us drawdown requests and we pay those as they come, as we receive receive drawdown requests. So I think as we get into looking into this thing, that's the question, one of the questions I have is why did the Corps send it there? And I think we need answers to those, but like I said, I'll go into a little bit more of that, but anybody else have any input?
No, I was told.
Okay, I'll motion we go ahead and provide the $262,000 to the Lincoln PSD to be used to replace the monies designated for the Lower Mud River watershed architecture design.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That be unanimous, motion
I got one question.
carries. Go ahead.
Are there gonna be an investigation into who done this, and will there be a prosecution
I'll tell you.
of persons?
I'll tell you what, this is what I've done, okay? Because I was kind of given the authority to contact the Public Service Commission when all this stuff started happening.
Right, I know.
I called the Public Service Commission whenever we found this out and what we had to do to rectify the situation. And I was informed that there was 3 entities that I needed to talk to. I needed to talk to our prosecuting attorney, possibly the West Virginia Attorney General, and the federal prosecutor, okay? Just to inform them of what was happening. And I have spoke with all 3, okay? And from there, that is, they have that information, and that's all we can do. And I mean, that is up to them at that particular point. But, whenever those things happen, and I think that it was already actually sent to those entities from the accountant, that, this has taken place, and, here's the information. But just as a follow-up, just to make sure that we had, make sure that it was taken, that it was sent. Okay? So that's for the record. All right, next on the agenda. This is a big agenda.
They vote on that?
First meeting. Communication from Stoward & Sons Lane Company regarding a gas bill at the Community Corrections Building. I would like to table this to the next meeting so we can get some more information.
I motion we table it.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That is unanimous. Branch Midkiff Public Service District. Would you like to speak on that?
Just whatever you all come up with, I mean, the engineer's supposed to be here tonight, but I don't see him.
The amount of money that you were requesting was for a water tank, and I think that we spoke before at another meeting. You were, the funding scenario that you had, I know initially whenever we spoke before, the initial price was like $100,000 for the water tank, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Initially, we talked, I think we'd spoke at a county commission meeting, saying maybe they needed $100,000 for the water tank. And then, I think it was like the last meeting or the meeting before last, we talked, and I think there was some, like, federal funding that I think that you all had received or was going to receive.
He's got verbal promise. I think it was either $600,000 or $800,000, I think.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I gave you the paperwork on it.
Yeah, I understand that, but I didn't have the paperwork
But he
with
had
the
verbal
verbal
promise of
commitment
600,
stuff.
I think it was 600,000, and he was hoping that between you all and the governor, we could come up with the other 200,000.
Well, I think that, as of right now, I think we're gonna have to work on that. Okay, if we're gonna help out. I mean, we
Well-
did budget for that, just like with this other.
Yeah.
What's the need right now? I mean, is this something that has to happen right
Well, it's our
now?
main tank from West Hampton. And if it goes out, the only alternative we got is the lavallette system. We can kick in the lavallette for backup. But we're tied into them,
Where's this tank at?
that 4 mile.
Okay.
Oh, the one we need repaired,
Yeah.
right there on Branchland, on the hill or Branchland.
Is it leaking right now?
Hopefully across the road from you all?
No.
Oh, okay.
Down Branchland,
Oh, okay.
across from Sam Watson's.
Not where your new office is?
No.
Okay.
Is the tank getting ready to fail?
Was been there 60-some years.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the lifespan of the
Yeah,
tank
it was
is.
put in when the project was first started back in the 60s.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's in bad shape. You all should have a, video of it here. We paid a diver to go down in and video it and all that, and I brought it over here last year.
Last year?
Yeah,
I wasn't made aware of it.
and, yeah, we've been talking back and forth for 2 years on this.
Okay.
And it just doesn't go anytime.
Right.
And,
Does this have a lift with, or is it just a storage tank that you have there? I mean, because you got the storage tank up at Midkiff, don't you, up on the hill there?
this is the main tank.
Okay, and that goes, sends the water up from everywhere out.
Right, right.
Okay, is there any tank between it and the pumping station at West Ham?
No.
Okay, so that's your
That
function,
is,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And the only thing it's gonna do, like if we have to go to Lavallette, that's gonna cut West Hamlin out till we get that replaced.
Right.
Which Lavallette says they can probably supply us with what we need. But,
That means you'd be buying it off them versus
Right,
West Ham,
right.
okay.
which we are buying some off of them now.
Yeah. For Route 37?
No, for 4 mile.
For 4 mile.
Some part of 4 mile, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think we're just gonna have to.
Play it by ear.
Yeah, play by
The only
ear.
thing is, we're gonna lose that 600,000 that,
Well, we
Well-
wanna see documentation of that if you could. You know
well,
what I
he's
mean?
supposed to be here with us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
we very much, through the years, buddy, as you know,
Yeah.
we've had people promise a lot of
Yeah,
stuff, and
yeah.
did not come through, but
Well, just like the people in Ranger Bottom, look how long
Exactly.
they've been promised to get water.
exactly.
And they was took off for a project and never put back on. And that's something else I want to mention to you all. Since I've been in that public service district over there, we have never got a small cities block grant for you all. And I would like to have you all to keep us in mind when you can put one in for us for Ranger Bottom.
Yeah, no, we had small cities block grant for Route 37.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was.
No, I know it wasn't.
Okay, how did we get the money? Where'd it come from?
It was through,
Rural Utility Service?
two different, we
Yeah,
got
I
a
thought it
grant.
was small city
We got a
block, Rural
grant,
Utility Service.
we got a grant, and we got a loan.
Okay.
No, we haven't had one since I've been over.
And the 10 mile projects is 1.5 million ARC, and the rest is a 0% loan?
Right,
Right,
right.
okay.
All of the small cities block grants since I've been over, have been either going to Hart Creek or Lincoln.
Okay.
We have never had.
Okay, I thought, I'm wrong then, because I thought the Route
So
37 project.
we discussed it last month, at our meeting, and Michelle checked back, and she said, no, we haven't had one since I've been here.
Yeah. So I know where funding, well, we'll look it up on our end too, so we can make sure where all the funding comes from and stuff, but, if that is indeed the case, then, you know, it looked to me like after the Lower Mud River project, you guys would have to be next in line.
Well, that's what we was hoping.
Yeah, I think the whole purpose of the countywide water plan was to be able to bounce between districts and
Well,
make
yeah.
sure that it was fair for
We
everybody.
was told that once though here, that
Right.
bounced around, and there was a Horse Creek, and we were supposed to get next.
But you know, we did receive funding for the 10 mile which you guys serve and the Route 37 which you all serve. You know what I mean? Even though it may have not have come through small cities, we did get those projects finished in the last 5 years, you know, so.
Yeah, but the small cities is a guaranteed thing, and if you put in for it.
Well, no, what it
You always
says,
question.
what it said, that the way the law, I understand the law to be, is that once you finish a small cities block grant project, you can apply for another, but you can't be granted another one until that one is finished.
Right.
And then they'll make the decision on whether to grant it to you or
But
not.
what I'm saying is, when you apply for one, more than likely you're gonna get it when that next one's done.
I never say that, but yeah, I mean, you would expect us to, because but there's nothing that says they have to give it to
Well,
us.
see, the way we've been having to go after it, through these grants and things, we've been, I think we've been turned down 6 times on Ranger Bottom.
Yeah, well, yeah, and one of the things about Ranger Bottom that I'd hope we'd be able to do would be do that with a self-help project.
Well, that's too big.
Well, that's what I say, that's why you have to tailor it to another project, and I think you all, when you submitted your plans, it was on the 4 mile project, wasn't it? You all added it to the 4 mile extension that we're talking about doing?
You mean Ranger Bottom?
Yeah,
Uh,
because you all submitted some, remember you said submitted several different
no, it's
plans?
submitted on one by itself right now.
Oh, by itself,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's one we put by itself.
And, what's the cost of that project? You know?
I think it's a little too big,
Yeah, and how many people does it serve?
26 or something.
Okay. That's my, you know, that's one of the things that they look at, as you know, is the
Yeah.
cost per household and things like that. And that's why I thought we talked about putting it on the 4 mile project, so it would, you know, pick up that cost on a bigger project and serve more people with that amount of money. And I think that's why, because I guess there's a big rock down there next to the railroad.
Well, that's
tracks and
what we're
things.
working on right now.
Uh-huh.
The gas company went behind that rock, and put a gas line in. And I had E.R. Robinson down here about 3 weeks ago, when we went over there, and I showed him what was at.
Uh-huh.
So they're hoping they can cut that expense some.
Yeah, because that was the big, the
Yeah.
way I remember it, that was
It
the
was half
expense,
of it.
because we was talking about maybe coming down the river and going across or something
Yeah.
other instead of coming down and things like that, but I know that the cost, and that's, the way I remember it anyway, was that the cost per household was so high with it, we had to add it to another one, but, because it's real tough to get $2 million for a short place, whereas if you could put it on another program where we can divide that money among a lot more houses, they're more likely to give us the monies, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, you know, I guess when I was looking for grant money, I was getting it from wherever I could for the projects in your area and things like that, and I didn't know, I thought we did have a small city
No, we
block
never
grant
had
that one. But like I say, I can look at the funding scenario, because I know we put in money, and I know the Wayne County Commission put in a little money, they put in 75,000 or something like that, to extend it over to Rock Springs there. But, we'll need to look at that, you know, but the other thing about a project like that, we gotta really look at this tank first and get
Yeah,
it finished,
yeah.
you know, and then go from there on and stuff. But I can promise you, if we haven't had a small cities block grant in there, we need one in there, you know, but, I'm glad we could've got the projects we did through the funding we did.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Because, but now, I do think that, as soon as we can, we need to look at doing something as far as this tank here is concerned. But like I said, we really like to have things in writing, you know, so we can say, look, these guys are going up to 600,000, and then we can, you know, we can talk to people, because even, you could look at even, because it would affect the waters that go into Wayne County, you'd even look at even asking Rock Springs again if they wanted to donate some, ask, you know, the Wayne County Commission if they want to donate some, because it's all on that same line. And and I think that's the way we may want to go ahead and do that. In fact, when we go through into our budget and things, we may even want to go ahead and make some contacts in Wayne County and see if they're interested in helping with that, because I think it affects them too. If that thing goes out, they're affected too, so, they may say, well, we'll just save you more water from Lavallette or something like that, but I do think, and the other thing we have to look out for is well-being of West Hamlin, you know, I mean,
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
they've been there and they've been providing that service to those people and things like that, so.
And we have more customers neighbors, so it's gonna really affect them.
And I sure wish we had more money to work on it, I tell you, I just think it's gonna get worse too, so.
It is, yeah.
That's all right.
We're good?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll look in to see what we can do to help. Next, we have, commission board appointments for 2015. I have a list. Do you have a list there?
Oh, on this back.
I got it right here, 7 sheet of paper.
I have the list, but I don't know who is
Well-
currently on them.
Right now,
You're on EDA.
I'm on the Lincoln EDA, I'm on the 4-H, Camp Lakeview, Doc's on Hatfield McCoy, I'm on the Public Defender. I'd like to be on Region 2 if it's all right.
That'd be fun.
I'd like to, would you like to be on the Lincoln EDA?
Do you not want to continue to
I'm willing to let you.
do that? Well, I don't
Not
care
that
to, I mean, I would like to, but I don't want to.
That's
if
good,
you
you're
still
fine,
want.
everything's good. So let's put you there. How about, you wanna do, EMS since you're a doctor? How about that?
That makes sense.
Will you do, I think farmland protection needs to be good.
I will do that.
Okay. Let's see here.
Now, I know some of are these, boards, all the boards that are required to have a commissioner set on them?
You don't, it's my understanding that we historically have had boards that we didn't have people representing some, I mean, and
I
it's.
know, like with the
it's-
Solid Waste Authority, the soil conservation has to have someone on it, don't they?
Right.
And there's certain things that you have to.
That's
so
by
are these-
code, they set those up. What we basically do here, I'm not sure, I'm thinking that having served on the Corps of Virginia, West Virginia Workforce, which I've told you my schedule will allow me to do now, sometimes we make it, sometimes we wouldn't, and there's not a code so you have to be there, and things like that. I think that the boards that you want to I mean, this is my opinion only. The boards you want to participate in is the ones you get the most for our people. If we're gonna sit on those boards and we're one of 8 people and we're never gonna get anything we need, yeah, but there's something to be said to have that ears and eyes there and listen to what they're doing and things like that. But I think the important ones we need to work with are the ones that are local here that need management type things that we can actually affect change on it. I'm not saying any of these are any less important, but Quarter G I think they're going to go through a revamping because they haven't been, I don't think, very effective in what they do, and there's a lot of other people feel that way, so I think that board's going to be revamped anyway.
You wanna just leave that off and not do that?
Yeah, we don't, you know, I don't think we have to fill everybody. There maybe it's a time a month from now, Phoebe will say, well, I want to be on that board, and we can go ahead and do that.
The Trial Rivers is first, and
Right.
Charles McCann has been on that from the
Right.
start and is passionate about it, and I think would like to continue to stay on it. So I didn't know if he was on there as
Oh,
commission capacity and a commissioner
I
had
don't
to
know,
be
we
on
would
it.
have to check, because Tri-River, I think, is one of those boards that have to have representation from a particular area. you
That's
know,
what I didn't know.
I don't know about that, but we can check on that, if you, I mean, we can.
So we don't have to fill all these times.
Right, no,
can
right, we can just
say-
the ones that we, you know, I think it's important, like the EMS, I think we need to get that in gear, right? You know, I'm just looking at it from my point of view, because we've got this thing coming up in February and things of that nature, so, But
Like,
I
the
think
Parks
we-
and Recs, who has been on that? Charles has been on that. I mean, I just don't wanna feel like, that you all feel like I'm taking over everyone that he was just on. I think we ought to just sit down
I'll give you
and.
some.
Well, I'm on EMS and he was on IPFOR, so
Right.
you're not doing that, so I mean, we're, I'm sure President Matthews and I are very
Is there any
pleased
that
that
you
you want
really
us
want
on
to
these
be on?
boards, so.
That's what I'm
I-
getting.
I-
I mean,
I
Doc
would
has
like,
expressed interest in the EMS and,
I'd like to stay on the Region 2, 4-H. I could do the public defender because it's in Madison, I suppose. Camp Lakeview,
you'll stay on.
yeah.
I mean, if y'all want Parks and Rec, I'll do it. If you don't want
I don't care. I mean, I
to.
really
Are you
kinda
on
like
it? Is
to.
it you on it? Oh, I didn't.
No, nobody's on.
I would really kinda like to be on that.
That's
one.
fine.
All right.
But we need to find out if,
We need to find out about
about the
Tri
Tri
River.
Rivers.
Okay.
And I think that's about it then, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe Porter Geo from Workforce, West Virginia.
Is the West Virginia Workforce, is that one that somebody has to be
That's
on?
what
I was on that. That's the one I say you got 1 and 8 load and I think Workforce West Virginia does some good stuff as far as retraining miners and things like that. I think they get funded, and they're set up to get that funding. So that, you do have that influence.
You do not want to do
Mickey
it?
Brown, yeah, well, it's basically a scheduling thing with me. It's more because we have to work those days. When I went to him, Mickey Brown's the commissioner from Boone County. He's been, calling shots pretty much on. He's really good to work with, and I think it has some benefits. I think, like I said though, I was really trying to get situations on the ones I could attend, because I think it's important if we're going to go on any of these commission boards, we try to get there, and because they're going to depend on us a lot on things, especially like going through this, trying to get these voted out for the CMS and the fire department. things
So
like
one of us needs to do it.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay,
We'll leave Porter G off and Tri River, we'll do those
we'll
later.
find out about those. So let's go back through. You wanna-
All right, here we go. Parks and Recreation, Phoebe Harless, EMS, Dr. Vance, Farmland Protection, Phoebe Harless, Region 2, KK Matthews, Public Defender, KK Matthews, 4-H, KK, Lincoln EDA, Phoebe Harless, Camp Lakeview, KK Matthews, Hackney McCoy, Dr. Vance, and West Virginia Workforce would be Phoebe.
I motion we appoint the individuals as named.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. That is unanimous, motion carries. All right. Next on the agenda is the septic system for, the Hart septic system.
I talked with Hoss a while ago, Rick, but you wanna kinda give us, y'all met, did you choose anything?
We had our board meeting on Tuesday night, and we had a quorum there to have the board meeting. We went through our normal business and such. We came up with some recommendations for one of the things that we trying to get some biometric stuff bought so that we can take advantage of the weight room and the gymnasium for an income stream for the community center. The key workout that we have there is it's just not working. It's easy to pass the keys around, so we're gonna go to a thumbprint system where we have everybody registered and they're paid. They can get in. If they don't, then that way we can guarantee getting some income in there to support the community center. And I think the recommendation was to try and look for some board members.
Yeah, that's what, in talking with Hoss, that's what, and I talked with President Matthews, is that we feel we probably ought to advertise for more, because it's basically you four guys are doing it, or you four guys and gals are doing it, and that we need to get more involvement of the community into it. So
Yes.
one of the things I want to do here in a minute is go ahead and make a motion. We advertise for board members of that, for that board. And Hoss told me some good things about things that you all are doing as far as what you expect to do and things like that. But the one thing that we wanted to do was try to resolve the sewer issue and things like that. And I know that's a big bugaboo, but I really think that for the continued success of the community center, we need to get more people on your board to help you with.
Yes.
And
We need working board
I
members.
talked to Hoss also about and I would suggest this to the commission, but I talked to him personally and said, I'd like a record, when people come into your community center to sign in, so we have an idea of how many people that we're actually serving up there. And that way, because when we give people's tax money to support an institution like that, we want to make sure they understand that there's this many people that are being helped by it. And I think that would help us, you know, getting funding and stuff too. You know, when you go to apply for computer systems or something of that nature, and they know you're gonna have that many, so many people in an area, they're a lot more likely to give you funding for that than they would if you're only having 10, 15
Yeah,
people.
data
show
will
up.
prove
That's
it,
right.
you're right.
Because the data is really what you need to present to allow our representatives to take that to the people that have the funding and say, look, this is what we need for these people, and this is how many people we'll serve. But, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, we just need to, you know, probably need a little guidance. This is my personal opinion. Need a little guidance as far as the septic system and where we go from here. So that we can go ahead and get that taken care of. You know, Rick's done a lot of work trying to get that taken care of. You know, the commission has supported it. The board members have done some of the work along the way. But we need to get that solved.
Well, I think if there's a solution that comes about before we get new members on there, that's fine, you know what
Yes.
I mean? But I think one of the things we need to do is make sure we get new ideas in there, new people participating, and
Agree.
get different parts of the community in there. You know, we have some particular parts that are really, are utilizing that, but there's a great number of people up there at Hearts that don't use it. And so we need to get people from those groups to get on board and say, and help us know what they want and be able to help us get what they need, so.
I agree.
But, if it's okay with the commission, I'll make a motion, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
How many board members do you all have? How many would you be posting for?
Well, it's according to what the
I just
commission
want-
would want to, if you want to reconstitute to 9, which is what it started out to be, we would need 5 replacements.
So you're having trouble getting 4 or 5 people out to get a
Well,
quorum?
when it really gets down to it, we really have about 3 people on a constant basis. 4 in a push, we can get 4 there, because one of our board members works out of town, works out of state actually, and is in, when he's in, he's there and helpful, and very helpful in fact. But,
I mean, I guess I'm thinking about the process. Are these people going to be, how are you going to handle with these people who are already serving? Are you going to, somebody's going to let them know?
Well, I turned in a list, and before, you know, last year, last meeting, turned in a list. Out of the 9 original board members, we've had 2 resignations and 3 that haven't attended. So based on what we're doing there, if they're not attending, they're inactive, and that's what I put on the list to the commission. No, that's fine, that's fine. But we had 2 that resigned and 3 that are basically inactive, and then the other 4.
So we would need to post for 5.
If that's what the commission wants to go to back to 9 or to 7, whatever the commission would like to have on there. But the only thing that we would like is make, you know, we have people that have an interest in participating and helping out there rather than to hold a board position by name only.
So what do you all think, 7 or 9?
We're just, I think we'll just wait on the agenda for next.
Put on their next one, okay.
We're gonna put it on the agenda to advertise for those positions at the next meeting. But in the meantime, I'll get in touch. We're gonna try to work something out, let's see if
Okay.
we can do something done.
Thank you.
No, all right, next we have new business. You all had a chance to read new business. And if there's not any questions, need a motion to approve new business.
I'll make a motion to approve all the new business listed on the agenda.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That being unanimous, motion. Next, we're on commission concerns, communications. Dr. Banks.
Well, I wanna, first of all, I wanna welcome Commissioner Harris to our commission. I think it's been a well-anticipated day for a lot of people, and I look forward to working with her. The communications I've had with her in the past and the work I've done with her in the past make me real excited to think that she's gonna do a good job and really help us here. You know, we are, this is a really tough job, as she'll find out, I'm sure, and more so than it used to be. And we face several big challenges now. You know, we face especially economic challenges, and but we'll get through this. And I think with her input and her help, I know it's going to help President Matthews and myself get the job done that we need to have done for the people. The other thing I wanted to make comment on was the Lincoln PSD and the situation that exists there. You know, we can only do what we can do from here, and we only have so much to do with. And this puts us in a real bind in what we have to do tonight as far as move $260,000 into that account that was already there at one time. Now, in having done that, we need to make sure that this never happens again. That we need to make sure that that money was sent to the place it should have been sent to, as it should have been sent. We need to make sure that monies received on these projects are used for what they're supposed to be used for. And there's laws governing this money. And there are regulatory agencies that are currently going to look into this situation. So, but the point is that we have to make sure these monies are much more valuable than dollars. They're people's future and health in that area. And that's why we have to do what we have to do to get what we need done. But now, that doesn't mean anyone that did something illegal is going to walk. Or anyone that done anything not ethical is going to get away with it. Because we cannot have us and other people trying to get monies for projects to help people, and then have other people, when they get the money, spend it for what they want to. You know, just, you know, we're going to give you a $20 hour raise, or I'm going to do this with it. You don't have that discretion when you get those monies. That money can only be spent for what we get it for. And along the way, something went wrong. And we need to know what went wrong so it doesn't happen again. Because I don't want to get in a situation where I go into this coming fiscal year and have to come up with another $250,000 because somebody didn't do their job, or they did something with the money other than what they were supposed to. You know, I wish life was that way, but it's not that way. I wish it was that way for all of us, so we could just take whatever money we want and say we're going to do one thing with it, go do something else and get away with it and not have to worry about the consequence. But there's consequences when you do what these people have done. And, you know, there are people to make sure there are consequences. It's not us. We can only bring that information to the people the regulatory agencies that need to work on these things. But I don't want any of the people over in Allen Creek thinking somebody stole $260,000 of their money and got away with it. Because anytime you use money for what it's not supposed to be used for, it's the same as you took my money off this corner and went out there and bought whatever you want with just because you saw it laying there. It doesn't mean you can do that. And I hope that those regulatory agencies that do investigate this case make sure that people understand what they get themselves into when they do this, and make sure they understand the consequence of what they've done. Because this is not something that the people in Allen Creek should have to put up with. Along with all the other BS they had to put up with all these months. They took $260,000, this money we've been trying to get for these water projects down Lower Mud, and I don't know what they did with it. I'm sure that we'll find out when the accountants and the regulatory agencies look, but it's very important. We went on these committees tonight, we were kind of joking about where we're at and things like that, but on each one of these committees, we have to govern. We have to govern under a set of laws that sometimes, the assessor will tell you, the laws he has to assess under aren't the ones that he'd like to do because they have an adverse effect on our people. But that's what the law says. That's what the law says he has to do. And that's when they sent $260,000 for the Appalachian Regional Commission to Lincoln PSD and said this goes on the Lower Mud River Water Project, that's where it should have went. And we need to make every effort we can from our end of it to make sure it never happens again. We're not the one that prosecutes these people, but we are the ones that will find out how they've done it, and why they've done it, and make sure it can't happen again. Because these people, as I said before, the money these people get for these water projects is much more important than dollars. It's their future and it's their health. And we can't allow, regardless of what the reason for it was, we can't allow those monies to be diverted or to be put into projects or into people's pockets that shouldn't have had it. You know, these monies are going to be much, much tougher to get from now on. And we've got to be able to assure those people that are giving us funding that it's going to be spent appropriately. And I think that we as a commission are committed to make sure that the people of Allen Creek get their funding for their projects, that the Lower Mud River project's funded, that the Bulger project's funded, and that we can go ahead and get on with our life. But we've got to make sure that this can't happen again. We've got to find out from the Appalachian Regional Commission why the check was sent where it was sent. If that's the way they do business, that's one thing. Then we find out what happened to the check once it got there. Because $260,000 is a lot of money to not spend on what you should spend it on. And that's got to stop. And the way you stop it is you hold those accountable for what happened, and then the people that come after them will make sure that they dot their I's and cross their T's. The other thing, one last thing I will say is is in governing, we have to make decisions that we sometimes find that we don't always agree with ourselves. You know, we had a situation where we had one of our office holders wanted to hire somebody in December, and we voted to table that, and that's well within our right to do that. But we've also got to be careful that every decision we make like that doesn't have an adverse effect on these employees. We should make the decision based upon what's right for the courthouse and what's right for the taxpayers of this county. We should not make decisions based if we're upset with somebody or we want to, you know, show our muscle, whatever it is. We shouldn't make decisions that way. I spent 17 years as an employer in a private practice in West Hamlin. I spent 2 years as president of the State Osteopathic Medical Society, where I worked with employees, and I've worked in different situations that I've had employees. I never held an employee back. If one of the nurse assistants that worked for me wanted to become an RN, I was 100% behind them. And there's 12 or 13 of them that did that. And I feel good about that. Because if we make our decisions based upon what's best for us and what's best for our friends, then we're not making our decisions based on what's best for the county and what's best for the employees of the county. And I would hope as Commissioner Harless goes through this new year that she realizes it's a really tough time. It's a really tough time dealing with economics of situations. It's a really tough time dealing with people who've had money stole from them, promises made, not kept. But we all have to work together. And this commission, I'm sure, will work together to provide the best governing that we can for our people. And to do that, we all work together. And I think that's the key. And if we get to a situation where we can't work together, then we're not doing our job. So I'm hoping that in the future we can talk about things and have everything figured out before we have to come before you all and say this is what we have to do. Because if I don't know when I get here, I don't know. And you have to go back and research things and find things out. But I do think that I've worked with some good people on this commission before. And I really feel that this group that sit here with me now could be that and so much more. And I think they will. And I appreciate, and I can say all this stuff because I'm the elder now. I'm the oldest one in the batch. So, but anyway, I look forward to working and governing with Commissioner Harless and continuing with President Matthews and hope that we can we can seek guidance from the Lord, but we also got to use our head about what's right and wrong here too. So I would hope that we will be able to do that we'll be able to solve these problems that we're encountering, that we'll be able to get Lincoln PSD straightened up, these water projects going. We can figure out some way to finance that water tank over Branchland, and we'll figure it out. We're just not going. We don't know it tonight. I don't know the answer to it tonight, and they probably don't either. But I do look forward to working with both of them, And I would hope that the people of Lincoln County will be able to hold their head a little bit higher with the job that we're doing. Thank you.
All right. Well, the reason this was set up that way, you usually have your president at the end. I thought you would be president, that's why you're that's why I put you right there. But anyway, and I like to say, you know, the decision to table that hiring it was solely based upon a conversation I had with Ken Farley about, you know, getting time and vacation time for his employees, and that was it. I mean, if you know it's on the agenda today, I mean, you know, we've taken action on it, and you know, wasn't a dig. I want to, you know, reiterate, that wasn't a dig at the county clerk at all. That was just what I felt like, you know, when people are scheduled for vacation days, you know, they can't get them back. I mean, you use it or you lose it. And when people at the end of the year, when people set aside those vacation days and you have, you know, schedules worked out, different things like that, you know, a lot of times months in advance, you know, you don't want to disrupt things, and that's all that was. So, next thing I'd like to address is in February, I received an email from the Public Service Commission when we requested a general investigation for the Lincoln Public Service District. They are in the process of this investigation, and I will probably ask maybe either myself or one of you to go sit in on that. We have been invited since we were the ones that made the request.
That's in February.
Yeah, it's in February. We're trying to work out dates right now when everyone can get together. But you know, this what we've had to deal with with the Lincoln Public Service District. I commend you all. I commend, you know, you all for what you've done. It's not the fault of the people that this has happened, but you know, we had the means to correct it, and that's it. And I appreciate what you've done. Next, we had an issue with our phone system a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you're aware. I'm sure you are if you tried to call in. But I would like to try to get some quotes for maybe an installation of the new phone system here. I think we have about 8 lines, 17 extensions, something like that. I spoke with the 911 director about what they do with their phone system, and he basically stated that he could probably get us some quotes, some ideas about what we would like to do. I think our phone system is outdated. Just it's been, I think, probably been a long time since anything was ever upgraded there.
Did you budgeted money for the phones, but I don't know, is it something you think we can do?
I think we can. It just depends on what the quotes are.
Well, I think the quotes, and then as we go into the March budget, we can, you know, we can even pick it up early if we've got monies to do that. I think that's one of the things that we want to make sure that our technology is well suited.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you all about is maybe live streaming our county commission meetings. I've spoke with Robbie Oldacre. He's using the GIS. I know that Sean has the YouTube channel, but I would like for us to be able to live stream our meetings. Any meetings that we have here, whether it's a Park and Recreation or LCPC meetings, to be able to put that out, put that on our website so people can see what's going on. Maybe we'll get more interest in it. So,
well, and I think it's an excellent idea, because the more that people know, the more they will be involved, and the more they'll know what we're doing too. Because it doesn't amaze me, because I didn't know what a county commissioner did really before I was a county commissioner. But there's a lot of people when I talk to them, and I'm sure you all found this too, they don't understand what we do or how we do it and things like that. And I think this would be a great learning tool for the kids too that are interested in doing anything like this in government and things like that, because they can actually see it at work and be able to, you know, and in fact, we could even look at doing something further and ask the ones that are, maybe we can wind up having a contest or something of that nature too. And we'll have it come up here and sit in our county commission seats and vote on a commission meeting. We'll make sure there's really tough stuff on it too.
Next, our cell phone tower, been a lot of progress at the tower there in Hamlin. The tower in Yawkey, we're in the process of getting the easement. Actually, we're really close. As soon as the paperwork gets back, I think that they're gonna go ahead and start erecting the tower. So that's a pretty big deal. Our 911 director has been in contact with various cell phone companies, Verizon being one of them, AT&T, and Intellis.
We had been in contact with them.
Yeah, because when we talk to them, we want to make sure that Alan talks to them about all the sites, you know, because, you know, I would really like to work out a deal with a carrier where they put as much equipment in the county as they could at the locations that we need it done, because that's something we have to do. As we've talked before, it's a safety issue, and it's a matter of, and I'm afraid if we wind up getting them on the hook for 1 or 2 towers, they won't do anything with the rest of our county. And I would rather try to work out a county-wide deal when we go into this negotiation.
I got 4 years left.
Are you?
We got 2 in last year. We can work on this.
I think we need to be sure, and I don't know a whole lot about this, but we need to be sure that the tower at Yawkey, before we start on it, is in the best location for these carriers.
I spoke with Alan, and he has a propagation study that actually tells us that it is. So initially, we've done that, whenever we were, first doing, actually looking at the site. But with this propagation study, it'll actually tell you how far how far you'll have service, which is.
Well, someone told me that a person at Yawkey was already being paid a lease through AT&T for the tower.
No, I can probably fill you in on that. There was a guy there's a cell phone companies come in and they'll lease land to build the tower, and then once they build the tower, they rent the space on the tower to cell phone companies, and then they'll eventually sell that. Maybe sell that to the cell phone company after they get their initial investment back. But that's what was happening. I think that's happened in Griffithsville. I think it's happening in Sweetland.
That people are already being paid.
People are being paid for a possible tower to be put in place. And whenever we were going after this tower in Yawkey, the talk was, well, why are you wanting to build a tower in Yawkey whenever, this cell phone company has already leased this property to build a cell phone tower? But if everyone remembers, there was a lease in Griffithsville for the past 10 or 15 years that they were supposed to build a cell phone tower. So I basically, talking with Alan, and I don't think that we can wait around, and that's where I was at, for a cell phone company to come in, a tower company to come in and build the tower, because they haven't produced that yet.
But I think we need to be in contact with these carriers to make sure that they have the funding, et cetera, to use this tower before we.
Well, and the main thing is to make sure that they're willing to do it,
Right.
use it, I think that's the key. We've got a tower up at Horace, and we can't get a carrier to put anything on it, so.
Well, I think with this tower, we had a letter of intent from AT&T, I think that goes on. But, if you go up at the cell phone tower in Yawkey, you get one bar. And it's a 400-foot tower. And I think with what you're saying, I think that the tower company that is leasing the property next to the site where we're building the tower, I think that there's a rub there, because if this tower goes in, then that tower doesn't go in. And there's going to be somebody that loses money, as far as a lease is concerned, per month. So I think there's a vested interest with some people to try to block the tower that we're trying to put up.
I just think we've got to be certain, or as certain as we can, or do everything we can to ensure that we are able to get service.
Alan Holder, our 911 director, assured me, and we would not be building this tower if we were not going to get cell phone service. So this was, I mean, this has been done, I mean, and we have spoke with Roger, what's his name, Hellman, from H&G Energy. We've been, I mean, we have a propagation study which states that we're going to get cell phone service, so I'm not worried about that. I mean, I think that what we get a lot of times in communities, if somebody's gonna lose money somewhere and it's a substantial amount of money with the lease, you know, I think they probably have a vested interest, or maybe, I'm not saying that has happened, but I think that there's been some talk. And, you know, and I'm not giving back over $500,000. I mean, this tower's gonna be useful. I think it's gonna be good. Be good for the community. But, that's all I have.
The only thing I have, you all were talking about technology, and I think that is a good idea to stream the meetings. And I think we need to build our website and make sure that all of our employees here have email addresses that they use, well, we can't make them use them, but that we are able to send information to that address so that we have proof that we have got it to them. I think that is something we really, in the future, near future, to work on. And I think John has just about said everything about the PSD, but I just want to reiterate.
I've got more.
I think we really just need to stress how detrimental this is to other things in the next 6 months that we're not going to be able to do now, just like the lights and different things, because, you know, this is really, when you don't budget for an amount like this, it hits you hard. So I don't know that we're going to be able to do a lot of extra things.
You're right.
Not the way I wanted to start.
Well, just dig in. That's all I say. Blame it on me. Guys, I don't have anything. You don't have anything else?
No.
I'm in the future.
I'll say.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.